Welcome, salutations to another episode of Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. And this particular podcast you're listening to right now is presented by the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast Network. My name is Brandon, also known as WorldWide. Now, why that is my nickname, I couldn't tell you, but it's been with me for a decade plus now. So we're rolling with it. And we added it as the name of the podcast. It's official. So today we're going to touch on a few different things wrestling-wise, current, but mainly we're going to dig into the nostalgia today. We're going to really dig in and have a good time. And I'm thankful today to have my first guest. I'm honored to have the man, the myth, the legend, Spenser. Welcome.
The honor is mine, dear sir. What an honor and a privilege to be the first guest on this podcast. I'm looking forward to it, and I think it should be a good time.
Absolutely. And I mean, me and you have just talked wrestling numerous times. Always have a good laugh when we do. So I was like, why not record this, right? It only makes sense.
I think that was the move. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, folks, just to get a rundown of the episode, we're going to, again, do our matches of the week. I'll talk about 3 matches that I saw this past week and talk about those. We're going to do some top fives. We're going to do the top 5 spears, and then we'll hit some questions, and then we'll finish out with top 5 finishers off the top rope. First, though, I want to dig into Spenser. What is your relationship with pro wrestling? Like, what is your background? How far? What's the time period? Give me it all.
Okay, all right. So I discovered wrestling on accident as a youth. So I remember when I first got a TV in my bedroom. There was one Monday. Yeah, there was one Monday evening. I was just surfing the channels because I could. Because I got channels now. And I came across what I think at the time was TNN.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was TNN at the time. Whatever channel Raw was on at the time, because it was Spike TV at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say Spike.
But yeah, like I think back in the TNN days, I came across WWF. And I just was like, oh yeah, whatever this is, I love what's happening right now.
Right.
I did not know about the Monday Night Wars. I think that by the time I realized what was happening, it had already
included.
Well, it hadn't necessarily fizzled out, but I found wrestling on accident, so I didn't know there was another option. So
gotcha.
I found WWF, I found the channel it's on, I found the day of the week, and I was like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then whenever SmackDown came to UPN, I was already on UPN. So
yeah, every black person was.
Yeah, that worked out.
Yeah.
So because I remember wrestling, and then after wrestling, I think I Love Lucy came on.
Bro, don't even get me started, man. What you mean? I watch every episode. Come on.
Yeah, like I'm pretty familiar. Like my familiarity with I Love Lucy is not because of Nick at Night, but because of UPN.
Exactly.
So, and one of the things that I always thought was interesting was both me and my sister liked wrestling, but we didn't like it together. So we were both watching wrestling in our own separate rooms because
that's hilarious.
Because as a child, I just had a child brain, and I was like, girls aren't into this. And she thought, he's too young to be watching this.
Right.
So, because I was 4 or 5 when I found it.
Yeah.
And so it was Attitude Era. I should not have been consuming this.
Yeah, no business.
But it was so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I loved it. So I loved wrestling, and then I, got my Nintendo 64. Whenever I'd go to my cousin's house, he had wrestling. He had WrestleMania 2000. I remember playing that Warzone game, and I discovered WCW through Revenge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Classic.
So I never knew when WCW came on, but I knew I was like, Sting, I like that guy.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was weird because at one point Revenge was almost my like whenever Revenge and WrestleMania 2000 were like at the same time, I think
Yeah.
that Revenge was my main game because that was the like button pattern I preferred.
Gotcha.
And then No Mercy came out and I was like, okay, this is where we need to be. Okay.
No Mercy was a step ahead. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a big Revenge person, but No Mercy took it to another level.
Yeah, No Mercy was too much. It was so good. No Mercy is, again, I spent hours creating the perfect man in that game. It was the first time that I vividly remember, like, I must build a flawless. he's got to be the perfect man, and that's what we're doing. Because I never made myself. I always made like even in 2K. Like I never made myself. I would always give them a name, and then
Gotcha. That's dope.
Yeah. But because but it's funny because the first time I made a guy, I made him about my size. He was a little bigger than me, but like he ended up being about what I am. Because I'm 6'3", 215. The first guy that I made, I think I made him 6'4", 250.
That's a good size. 6'3", 215 is a good wrestling size.
Yeah. So but so yeah, I loved wrestling, and then I realized that I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this. We're in here. And I then found friends in middle school actually in elementary school. My boy Kyle was very deep into wrestling. And the exploitation of the divas helped. Because I mean that's what it was.
I mean, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Absolutely, what it was. Absolutely. Now to think that they were even called divas and not women
is wild.
It's wild.
They had bra and panties matches.
Bro, I saw a clip the other day with Stacy
Keibler?
Stacy Keibler against Trish Stratus, bro.
I would have ruined my life for both of them.
It was a championship match, and bro, it had nothing to do with wrestling. Like you wouldn't think that was a championship match. It was literally taking girls' shirts off, trying to get her exposed her bra. It was just crazy. I was like, what are we? Like, what? This was allowed during this time.
Yeah. This is what we had. Because there were so many words I learned.
Oh my God.
Words that are just disrespectful to women. Like all those words I know because of wrestling.
Bro, Jerry the King Lawler would be canceled immediately. I
called them puppies for a while. Yeah. Because of him.
Exactly. Like half of the stuff that went on that was grotesque and wild, he promoted or commented on or said something crazy.
He was behind it.
Yeah.
It was a time to be alive. But
what time period? So you started around what time?
Let's call it 96.
Okay.
And I was heavy in until about 2008.
Got it. Okay. That was good context.
Yeah. And so I have a pretty good memory of all the stuff that took place really between like 99 and 2008, because like 96 to 99 I remember. Like I have flashes and clips, but I haven't committed a lot of it to memory like I have 99 to 2008. Like those, I remember a lot of what I saw happen in real time then.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was heavy in. I played like every wrestling game the PlayStation 2 made.
Yep.
Even the ones that the GameCube and the Xbox had, because I remember like all the SmackDown games were on the PlayStation 2. GameCube had Day of Reckoning 1 and 2, which were actually pretty good.
For real.
Yeah, and then the OG Xbox had Raw, which was not good.
That's right. I forgot about that. Because I remember playing like, I don't know if it was WWF sponsored, but it was like some like old school wrestling games that would just have old school
Legends of Wrestling?
I think it was that one, and I played that one.
See, and I didn't like Legends of Wrestling because it didn't have who I wanted in it.
No, it always had, it was just Hulk Hogan.
It was Hulk Hogan and like Andre the Giant, maybe.
Yeah, it was just like 80s, strictly 80s guys.
Yeah, and I was like, where? Because my people weren't legends yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so I was like, where am I?
Yeah, where's The Rock?
Where are my guys? Because they're not in this game. So yeah, I did not care for that game at all.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. No, it's funny because, like, for those that don't know, during the pandemic, me and Spencer, we worked together, and literally he'd come over to my house and we watch old Royal Rumbles, like just throughout the day, just watch old Royal Rumbles, and it was a good ass time.
It was great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Spencer, lover pro wrestling. Honestly, surprising me sometimes. He'll be like, I'll bring up something newer. He'll be like, oh yeah, I kind of know a little bit about that. I'll be like, how the hell?
Yeah,
like you know what that was.
A little dabble here and there.
Yeah.
I know the big stuff. So like the people who are like the faces and the billboards and the people who are up front, those are the people I know. So
Gotcha.
I know who Seth Rollins is. I know who
Right.
Roman Reigns and the Usos, and I know I know who Bianca Belair is. Like
Right.
the people who are pushed, I
Yeah.
usually have a pretty good idea of who they are. But honestly, a lot of what I know now comes from you, because I have not been keeping up. Like, I didn't know AEW was a thing at all. I remember when TNA was a thing. Is it still a thing?
It's no, it's not. There's still Impact.
Okay.
And there's still Impact. Still New Japan. There's still I'm trying to think of others that you may know that are around that time. But yeah, TNA, no, not TNA.
Okay, because I remember TNA was like trying to be a direct competition, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, well, it was.
Wasn't
I think
enough.
Was it on Spike?
I want to
one of
say
the channels.
I want to say it was on
40s.
Sci-Fi Network.
You might be right. I know it was in the 40s.
Yeah, Sci-Fi
cable.
Right. Yeah, I think Channel 49. Don't quote that, but that feels right.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, they went down a little bit. They started going wild and hired a bunch of old WCW dudes and went down in the tank. But yeah, okay.
What happens?
Yeah, definitely whatever.
You got to get people to draw in the crowd that wants to see that.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So okay. So all right. Now we're going to touch on matches of the week, and this would be a good thing for you, Spencer. You can touch upon some newer people. So we have 3 matches of the week. First match of the week is a AEW match. It was actually a street fight. It was between Roderick Strong, the Messiah of the Backbreaker. Outstanding name. Messiah of the Backbreaker. I actually love Roderick Strong. I love Roderick Strong. Like, Roderick Strong is one of those dudes where, like, I love a person whose gimmick is like, I do this thing at an elite level better than anybody. And Roderick Strong, pretty much most of his moves are related to hurting your back. So he'll hit you with some backbreakers. He'll hit you with some different variations of stuff to hurt your back. I think his finishing move is low-key like the Walls of Jericho, but he calls it, I forgot, Stronghold or something like that. I can't remember.
So yeah, him having Messiah in his name and having the Walls of Jericho makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing is, in this match, it was Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho.
Oh,
yeah.
Chris Jericho is one of mine.
Yeah, exactly. You know him very well. So Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho.
Sidebar. I remember Chris Jericho being the first winner of the Undisputed Championship.
Yep, both the titles, yep.
And I remember being mad about it.
Yeah, because he beat The Rock and Stone Cold.
He beat everybody. Like, weren't there 6 of them?
I want to say it was a bigger match. I want to say it was, yeah.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
Who let this stuff? Because I love Chris Jericho. I loved Chris Jericho, but he wasn't at the highest tier for me.
Right.
He was at that second tier.
Yeah.
And so I was confused because I was like, he's not a top. What are we doing?
Yeah. And he was an asshole at that time. Like, he wasn't even like good guy. Yeah, he was like straight up asshole. So like, yeah, him winning over Stone Cold and Rock and all those other guys, it was a big deal.
I was not happy about it.
Yeah, but, one of the first undisputed guys.
And now I'm good. But at the time, it was a
big deal.
Yeah, the game that they were playing, they got me.
They definitely, if you don't know, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Because I don't know if I 100% knew that everything was like predetermined yet.
I didn't quite know to that level. I knew a little bit because, the more you watch, you can see like, okay, all right, he ran in and he was waiting for him to run it. You know what I'm saying? You could see little stuff, but you didn't know like,
because there were a lot of times. Yeah, there were a lot of times I'd be watching and I'd be like, why would you do that? Like,
you're right, exactly.
But yeah, so it eventually got there. But I think that when that happened, I was young enough to think it was like boxing and like
Yeah.
somebody like whoever wins.
No, facts. Like at that time, I thought it was just an upset. Like I was just like, what the hell? Like, when the lower team beats the bigger team,
Yeah.
like what the hell is going on?
Because I was kind of like Rock Stone Cold, how y'all let this? I was mad at them too. Like
yeah, facts.
Like what y'all doing?
Like, yeah, like come on, handle your business. But yeah, Roger Strong versus Chris Jericho in a street fight. It was really good because it was different than your usually street fights. They go in the crowd, punch a couple times. Nobody really gets any moves in. It's kind of just random objects. This one, they were using objects that were kind of funny. Like they was throwing stuff into each other's face. Roger Strong did a kind of like a backbreaker on a counter. Like it was really good. And Chris Jericho's been having this whole rivalry with Adam Cole, starting to have a rivalry with Adam Cole. And so Chris Jericho got Adam Cole barred from the arena. So he couldn't step foot in the arena. If he did, he got suspended. And so Chris Jericho's thinking, okay, cool. I got him out the arena. Roger Strong and Adam Cole are boys. They go way back to NXT days, like 6 years ago. And so he's like, Chris Jericho's like, all right, cool. Roger Strong, I'm going to beat him up. He ain't going to have no help. I got help in the arena. I got the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is a whole faction of little young guys who look up to Chris Jericho. It's pretty funny, actually. But yeah, they go at it, and then they end up going outside. And I guess Chris Jericho just forgot the stipulations. And so as soon as he stepped outside, Adam Cole was on his ass. Like, beat him up, helped Roger Strong win. It was a really fun match, though. It was definitely different than your normal street fight match. Usually, street fight matches are kind of pointless. But in this case, it was really good. I suggest you go watch it. I think it's on. I watched it on YouTube. It was really good. Our second match of the week is the Intercontinental Battle Royal. It would happen this past week, I believe. And so the ring general, Gunther, was basically, he needs a number one contender, right? They're going to face this upcoming weekend, I think May 24th or 27th at Saudi Arabia Night of Champions. And he needs someone to face. So this battle royal was basically to see who's the number one contender. And Mustafa Ali ends up winning. It was a really good battle royal. As we've seen, some battle royals are not always good. Like some of them are straight trash. Mm-hmm. Some of them are like, all right, like nobody got any moments. The cool thing about this battle royal is people actually had good moments. They look good, even if they got eliminated. Some of the newer people, because they just had a WWE draft. So it was a lot of like people being called up from NXT, and they had really good moments. So even if they got eliminated, you were like, okay, you got eliminated, but I want to see him again. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him down the line. So Mustafa Ali ends up winning. I thought Bronson Reed looked really good. I thought Ricochet looked good. A few different people. I wish Shelton Benjamin would have got a little bit more of a moment, but it's fine. I think later down the line, I want to see Shelton Benjamin challenge Gunther. He ain't gonna win, but I think the crowd would get into it because we all want to see Shelton Benjamin get one last chance. You know what I mean? So that was a really good match. Lastly, we got the Usos versus the LWO. Spenser, the LWO is Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar, and so they basically re-upped the LWO, and so it's a pretty cool tag team. I love Santos Escobar. Not a huge Rey fan, hot take. Not a huge Rey Mysterio guy, but it's fine. He's like the Spider-Man of wrestling to me. Okay. So it kind of makes sense for those who listen to our other podcast. But really good match. The Usos. The crazy thing about the Usos is I don't love their wrestling style, but they never have a bad match. Like they don't do a bunch. They're literally their finishers. The 3D, they call it the 1D. And they do the little splash off the top, right? And like 90,000 super kicks. But like, for some reason or another, their matches are always good. Like I usually prefer more of a technical, more of a stylistic style, but their matches are never bad. So I love the Usos. They lose to the LWO in this match. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out and help LWO get a win. So really fun match though. So those are our three matches of the week.
If the Usos weren't entertaining, that would be a problem.
No, it really would be, and that's the crazy thing. I think when they first came out, they were like cool, paying homage to their heritage and had face paint and all this stuff. And I think once they got more like into themselves, like they're very like culture, very hip hop based. You know what I'm saying?
I said, whenever I see them, I'm like, those are just some niggas.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time I see them.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, bro. And to be honest, like they whole family, bro. You should see some of their cousins, some of their brothers. Though them some niggas. The way they talk, them some niggas for real.
Yeah, like
it's
just big ass Samoan ass.
Exactly, niggas.
Yep,
exactly.
Yep.
But for some reason or another, bro, they might be the greatest tag team ever. I can't even like when people used to say it, I was like, hell no. But now I'm like, shit, these dudes it don't matter who they go against. The one at SummerSlam, they had a classic match with the Street Profits. Then they had probably the greatest tag team match I've ever seen at WrestleMania with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It's just week to week, like every event, them two just put on a classic. It's crazy. And I think they're one of those tag teams that like lays out the match to make it to where everybody eats and make sure everybody looks good. So that was really fun.
And again, like they just based on their family lineage, like they don't have a choice. Like if they were even just all right, they would like their standard of excellence, I think, is really high just based on who they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, the family is just the lineage is too crazy. They, the Wild Samoans, the, Rikishi, they just have way too much lineage in this thing to where if they were average, they wouldn't be able to come back home. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd be shamed. So Usos versus LWO is really fun. But now we're going to get into top five.
Real quick. Where did those other two matches happen? Because you said that the first one was an AEW match, but are we talking Raw, SmackDown?
So the Intercontinental title Battle Royal for the number one contender, that happened on Raw. And then the Usos versus LWO happened on SmackDown.
Okay.
So that's a good point. Both of those WWE, the first one, Roger Strong versus Chris Jericho on AEW. For all those people who love AEW, I like AEW. More of a WWE guy, but AEW is really good too. Give them a shout out.
WWE's got a long head start. Like
it does. It does.
Like it's really hard to match up to what they've spent years building.
Right, and I think the weird thing about AEW was climbing. AEW was close, bro. They weren't going to compete like money wise or anything like that, or like viewers, but like quality of the show, they was getting up there. And then AAA, well, really even before that, even when Vince was like on his downturn, the whole Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn thing started, and then shot WWE back up. Like they had like quality stuff going on, and then Triple H took over, so then everybody else started doing well. So it's AEW is good, but you just can't compete right now. WWE has the money and the quality, so it's kind of hard to compare. But okay, top five spears of all time. Me and Spencer both have our top five. We'll go one by one, 5, 5, 4, 4, so on and so on. Spencer, would you like to go first?
I can.
Okay.
So we're talking spears. For number 5, I have Charlotte Flair.
Oh, okay.
So
shout out to you for knowing some recent people. Shout out to you.
Well, I mean, and when I found out that when I heard Flair, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to see what she's talking about. Because Ric Flair.
Absolutely.
In GOAT conversations all over the place. So
absolutely.
I was like, The Rock was the first time I had seen like a generational person. And so he's kind of the standard for me as far as like you're coming in behind a parent or because I didn't know Goldust was until like way later.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, like I remember like The Rock was my first one, and then that I was aware of, Randy Orton was my next one.
Right.
So I was like, okay, if we're doing this generationally, I have a standard that you have to.
Great.
And so whenever I heard about Charlotte Flair, I was like, okay, that's different because I don't know if a daughter had been like, and so I was like, we got to see what she's talking about. And so, I was keeping up with her for a little bit, nothing too serious. I watched a couple matches, and her spear was kind of nice.
Yeah,
and,
it's nice, bro.
and she added some flair to the end of it, and
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And so you see some flair.
Yeah. I like that. I like how you did that. I like what you did there.
So yeah, I when I saw it, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it's if you haven't seen Charlotte Flair spear, it's a pretty good one. Now there are 1,000 people who have used the spear, and that's why
Absolutely.
we're talking about this, because I
Right.
randomly messaged Brandon because I listened to the first episode and he did a top 5 and said I will have a top 5 every time, and I was like, I want to hear your spears because I know where mine are.
Right.
I want to hear what Brandon's got to say.
Yeah.
And now we're here talking
Yes,
about
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. I will say that Charlotte's a really good pick. That's a really good. I'm kind of mad I forgot about, because Charlotte's like big, athletic girl, and she be coming downhill and she be smacking them. Like she cuts them in half.
Exactly.
And it's an
Like-
actual spear.
Yeah, like that whole like broke him in half thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Charlotte, she hits him with it because
Yeah.
you know, with again my memory of divas in wrestling,
Right.
and then coming in seeing Charlotte Flair just
Yeah.
breaking people in half. I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah. That's a big jump.
now.
Yeah, no, they legit. That's why I love it, because like women's wrestling is on a total different tier. And I saw someone posting in our Facebook group, shout out to them, about like the top women's wrestlers of all time, and it had Trish Stratus and it had somebody else, number 2, kind of more old school.
Fabulous Moolah was 2.
Fabulous Moolah was 2, which I appreciate. Legacy wise, she did a lot for the business. But it was just like, if you don't have Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, like top 4, top 5, you're really not considering actually wrestling. You're considering just like name, because like that was just a different. Back then, it was like, oh, she could throw a really good punch. Oh, okay, all right, she nice. Where now it's like, man, you got to put a 5-star classic.
Yeah, because back then, like for me, as far as women wrestlers, there was a big 3. Chyna was like strong enough and big enough to go up with men.
Exactly.
If she wanted
Chyna
to.
was great. Exactly.
Yeah. Trish Stratus had the little bulldog off the rope.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Look at you.
A little coordination. Okay, I see you. Yeah.
And then Lita was doing moonsaults because she was with the Hardy Boys.
Exactly.
And so like that was the standard. Like everybody else was literally just eye candy.
Right.
And honestly,
exactly.
Trish Stratus was too. I feel like Lita was able to escape a lot of it.
Yeah, Lita was like, damn, you fine and you can do this? Okay.
Respect. Lita was like, you know how the internet jokes about like people being into the goth girl?
Yeah.
Lita had that market.
She definitely did.
But yeah, and that was one of the things I vividly remember was and that's one of the things that made me wonder if wrestling was staged or not, because Lita cheating on Matt Hardy with Edge actually happened.
Yeah.
And they folded that into the story.
Yeah, they did.
And so that's why I was like, is this
actually?
Because when I saw that, like, no, that was genuine and legit, I was like, there's no way Matt Hardy would have agreed to let his
woman just get
like there's no way. So that's when I was like, I think there may be some actual
when they do a good job of like getting a real story and then finding a way to weave it into.
But then whenever they did the whole Vince McMahon is Hornswoggle's father, I was like, no.
That was thank God I kind of tapped out during that era, because I was like, absolutely not. That's when it was just like, this is silly.
Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we doing?
Y'all are trying to make me believe that. Or whenever Shelton Benjamin's mother was on the side of the ring, and I was like, I've seen her and stuff. She's an actress.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not his real mom.
They put no effort in half of the storylines during that period. But yeah, Charlotte Flair, outstanding pick. Kind of upset that I didn't think about that one, to be honest. Okay, my number 5 is a guy you may have heard of. I don't know. Johnny Gargano.
Okay.
Johnny, AKA Johnny Wrestling. His spear is really cool because it's from So like, on the outside when you're on the ropes, kind of like if you're a tag team partner and you're on the outside waiting to get tagged in, like you're on the ropes. And so someone runs at him and then he jumps through the ropes and spears him. So it's really
I've seen that happen. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I know who that guy is then, because I have seen that spear happen.
Yeah. And it was different because I hadn't seen a ton of people do that. And so it's really cool, like, because his finisher is also where he's on the outside, he jumps, gets somebody in DDT and hits him with that. So sometimes you're expecting that, and then they'll hit him with the spear. And it's cool little ways the way they interact with, or they have somebody running at him, or he'll catch him out of nowhere. So Johnny Gargano is a small guy, so his spears look a little different than just a big dude just running real fast and tearing a dude in half. So looks pretty good. It's not quite like as physical. It's more of a on the edge side of things as far as spears go. We know we don't necessarily love Edge's spear, but we can talk about that as well. But but it is creative. I'll give him points for being creative.
Brendan, what a segue. For number 4, I do have Edge, and the reason I have Edge is because I am not a fan of Edge's spear, and I will go on the record as saying Edge has one of the weakest spears that I've seen.
Agreed.
I don't know why he's doing it. Edge is number 4 because I absolutely have no choice but to give him the respect that he deserves, because there are 2 very specific spears that are some of the best spears I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They were very theatrical. Like they weren't great because they were spears. They were great because of all the circumstances and situations.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, sir.
First one is Jeff Hardy hanging 20 feet in the air.
Yep. Off the ladder. Yep.
Yeah, like wild.
Yes.
And a lot of that credit goes to Jeff Hardy as well. But at the end of the day, Edge executed.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
And the way that Edge finished it out, like
he hit it and then like rolled it, came over, but
went up and then came back.
Yeah, that was good.
It's one of the best. It might be the best spear. Like
might be.
Yeah,
like I know the most memorable.
Seen, yeah, like absolutely. That one is etched into my memory forever. The second is Mick Foley through the flaming table. Because what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah, like
you went head first into a table on fire.
Yeah, like it's funny because I remember seeing a video and he talked about that like years later. He was like, I didn't really think about me going head first into fire until it actually was going down. He was just like, he was like, at least Mick, he kind of got to go like back first into it, but he was like, I have to go face first in this thing. And he was just talking about it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, but I'm sure Edge had no eyebrows.
Oh yeah, like that whole fire thing. That was a whole period during that time where like fire was in everything. But no, definitely respect, especially like hitting somebody on the outside into a table. That's tough to do. That's a lot of circumstance. On fire, that's tough to do. And
so Edge, his regular just in the ring, like that's not why Edge is here.
Right.
Like because again, Edge has one of the weakest.
Yeah, it's a hug.
Standard speed. Yeah, like why are you even using this?
Exactly. It was like, and then he'd like get ready for it in the corner and like really
like really hyping it up like he was about to beat something.
Runs and just hugs you and then takes you to the ground. It's just like no.
Yeah, just kind of like gently lays you down for bed.
Ushers you to the floor. It's like okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that would be the John Cena or somebody. Like, I guess. But that's why Edge is here. Out of respect, I honestly understand. He's a Hall of Famer. I get it. For me, number 4 is the GOAT, Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns' spear used to be Edge level.
I remember that.
Yeah, I hate it when he was the old Roman Reigns. It was very Edge level. It was very like, hug.
Because I feel like, and this may not be true, but I feel like there was like a full sleeve of Roman Reigns, and then there was a pre-full sleeve. Yeah, it was basically the difference is like the top Roman Reigns, the Roman Reigns that got the little like police vest on. Yeah, like shoulder into the chest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to where, because when he had that vest on, you couldn't see like all the other stuff.
But then when he became tribal chief, he took that off, and then he started smacking dudes, and that's what I like.
Yeah, because I remember both, and there was some time between them. So I remember he was doing edge spears, and then later I saw him. I was like, oh, he's hitting people now.
Yeah, and I think it may be, honestly, this may be strictly due to the difference. Maybe just being a baby face and being a heel. When you're a baby face, it's kind of easy to see the spear coming. Like, he has to set it up, he has to do his little thing in the corner, and then he hits him. Or the villain throws him against the ropes, and you're like, all right, well, we know the spear is coming. Whereas when he's a heel, like, he's cheating. He got dudes running in, low blows, like, and then, or a lot of the great matches he's had is he's about to hit the spear, somebody reverses it, then they put in their finisher, and then you're like, oh shit, Roman might lose. And then he kicks out, and then he get the Usos to run in, do some shit. The dude fights off against them, turns around, Roman cuts him in half with the spear. And it just looks good. It looks 10 times better. The situations are better. The setup is better. So, yeah, to me, the Roman Reigns, the heel, the tribal chief spear, 10 times better. 10 times better. So, like I said, former football player, so he knows how to hit a spear. But he's actually hitting dudes now, which I appreciate.
Brandon, what a segue. For number 3, I have Roman Reigns.
Hey, let's go.
And for the same reason, like, I think that I saw his early spears and I was woefully unimpressed.
Right.
And then I came upon his later spears and I was like, oh, he's fucking people up now. That's what I want from a spear. I want to wonder if that man is going to vomit.
Exactly.
I want to be concerned.
Yeah.
For that man, because, you know, a lot of wrestling, they will take care of you and they will make sure that you are not actually hurt. I want to believe that you are hurt.
Yeah.
See a spear. And Roman Reigns, like, he went from, like, you know, a gentle nudge to the ground to, like, both his feet off the ground.
Off the ground. Absolutely.
That's what I need.
Yeah. Like, full, like, horizontal.
Body parallel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I need.
Like, that's what I need from
I need you to Superman into someone.
Exactly. Go through them.
Yeah. So I have Roman as number 3 because and I think it helped that he had weak ass spears and then changed to the spears he's doing now, or at least that he's been recently, because there's quite a difference.
Quite a difference. Absolutely. I think maybe when he was a babyface, he was like being nice. I mean, I don't want to hurt you, you know, I'm a good guy. I don't want to hurt you. Where now he's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm the guy.
I'm trying to hurt you.
Exactly. Who you going to complain to? Like, you know, I'm that dude. All right. Number 3, the Gore. Rhino used to, that was the first time. Well, I ain't gonna say it's the first time. We'll touch upon who I saw the first time. But this was the time where I saw dudes like smacking. He would spear like women through tables. Like, he was doing wild stuff.
Gores were for everyone, and Paul Heyman made it so much better.
Oh my god, it should be Rhino / Paul Heyman.
Yeah, like the combo.
Get the credit for this. Yes, absolutely, because it was just Gore. You'd be like, oh my god, Gore. Yeah. Like, and his little, like, stocky ass running through somebody.
That's something like God. Rhino is what I feel like Wolverine would look like in real life.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how tall Rhino is, but Rhino didn't look very tall, I guess, compared to the wrestlers. But he was stout, bro, and moving. Like, homie was moving, and so, like, when he hit dudes was out, and he didn't hold up, he didn't hold off, he didn't hug you. Full force. I bet Rhino is under 6 foot, but probably 350.
Oh yeah, and especially because it's funny because Rhino, you know, during the era we know, where like when ECW was kind of transitioning into WWF, like Rhino came back even later on, and he was like a tag team champion and all this stuff. He was more comedy based, and he was a little bigger that time because he was older. But he was still using the gore, and it was still wild.
I mean, that's his move. Because for most people, the spear is one of their moves, but not the move. For Rhino, was it. Like, that was the finisher.
Absolutely.
And for Rhino, everybody's feet are off the floor.
Exactly. He's taking your ass with him. Like, there's no separation.
I remember when he gored somebody through the SmackDown wall.
Oh yeah, that was like when he first got introduced too.
Yeah, that was early Rhino, or at least for
Yeah,
me, it was early
yeah,
Rhino.
for WWF
Like he may have,
viewers.
yeah, he may have been doing ECW stuff already, but yeah, like that
Yeah,
was
he was.
for me. That was early Rhino because that was back
Yep,
when SmackDown had that that
yep,
wall in the back.
yep, absolutely. It says here he's 5'10", 326.
Jesus,
So
yeah,
yeah,
he's
that's moving towards you.
yeah, like him being under 6 foot. Yeah, like that man is stout,
bro. Just a log running at you. But what is your number two?
Number 2 is Rhino.
Hey, we right on cue, man.
Yeah, we here. Yeah, right. Like we just said, the man was he was like, you want to talk about cutting somebody in half. Like,
yes,
Rhino's goal was to, yeah, like fold people.
Yeah, and he was the first dude I'd seen use it in an extreme style. Like a table would be set up, person would turn around, and he just speared the hell out of him right through the table,
right through the table.
Like no hold up, no like I'm gonna guide you into this. No, it's just like I'm running through this table, and you just end up being in between us. So
yeah, like why you need to move.
Exactly,
if you don't want anything to do with this.
Exactly.
Yeah, Rhino. He was. I mean, his name was Rhino, so
right,
like
it fit perfectly.
Yeah, like he. That's exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah. And that's a good point you made. Like other dudes were naming, it's part of their move set. You know, they'll hit it every now and again. No, it was like the move for Rhino.
Yeah, like you get a spear and then you're getting 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Because for a lot of people, yeah, you'll get a spear and then 1, 2 kick out, or
exactly,
something, or that like the spear didn't finish the match most of the time.
Exactly.
Or it's not, like a lot of people have multiple signatures, spears 2 or 3 on the docket.
Exactly.
For Rhino, no, that's what it's gonna be.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you're on WWE 2K, like if you hold the R and hit A, I mean, yeah, you can hit him with a spear, but then you're really gonna wait for that finisher for real.
No, but that L1 with Rhino,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Like
don't let Rhino, up, nigga.
Don't let Rhino
get your ass up.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Get your ass up.
Because and that's the thing, Rhino's like Edge's setup was great, but Rhino's setup was like if you knew what was coming.
Oh yeah.
Rhino's setup was like terrifying.
That's what I'm saying. Like Edge's was like get you hype and then some weak ass spirit. But then Gore was like, okay, I know what's coming. This dude ain't gonna be the same after this.
Yeah. And he would gore you anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, like, anywhere.
Like outside the ring, up on the entrance, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
There were always tables involved. Like,
yeah, you can catch it anywhere, bro. During an interview.
And again, rated E for everyone.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if he hit Mae Young with one, but in my head,
if you told me, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, like he was folding everyone.
Everyone.
Paul Heyman is probably the only person who didn't get folded.
Exactly. Shout out to Rhino. Outstanding spear. My number 2. This is the first man I'd ever seen do a spear where I genuinely worried about the person who received the spear, and that is Goldberg. That's my number 2. I literally, because I'm a WCW kid, and I remember when he first debuted, bro, he had the US title, and the way he was spearing dudes, bro, I swear them dudes didn't see it coming. Like, it wasn't like oh, you're coming, I'm gonna fall back. It's like, no, I'm leaning over and you're taking my full body weight to the floor and like driving me to the ground. Like he would get a penalty in the days NFL for the stuff he was doing.
Oh yeah.
Like he was picking dudes up and drive, like even the Giant Big Show doing the same thing to him.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, outstanding. And his was definitely like spear, then he hit you with the jackhammer. But yeah, his spear, when he got in that little position, he was the first dude that got in the like spear position in the corner, and I was like, oh shit. Like,
yeah, he's getting momentum.
He looked like a DN right now. Yeah.
Great segue. Number 1 for me, Goldberg.
Yay, let me go.
Because for the same reason, Goldberg was the first person that I saw like Goldberg was my standard for spears. I was like, that's
sure.
That's what I want to see. Goldberg was fucking people up.
Yes.
And again, he's the reason that my standard was I need to be worried about you when you get speared.
Exactly.
Because Goldberg, when he had momentum, they were really good, but he didn't always need momentum. Like, sometimes he would just be standing and then hit you with it.
Yeah.
And your size didn't matter.
Exactly.
Goldberg speared you. Like, he handled everyone the same with those spears.
Right.
And that's absurd.
It looked like he just had a bad day. And it's like, all right, I'm taking it out through this spear. I'm going to release all this frustration.
Yeah.
And I genuinely felt bad for dude. It was some dudes like little jobbers, dude that weren't even that good. And they were half his body weight. And he was just I mean, when he hit Dolph Ziggler one, oh my God.
Yeah, like he was hitting people like a truck.
Yes.
Like, again, I was worried for these men's like physical health. Like,
yes, bro.
You're done for the week.
Yes.
Like
your ribs won't be the same.
Yeah, you're not doing 2 shows a week if you go Goldberg.
Right.
Yeah, and then for him to get up and do his little jump thing and then put you in the jackhammer.
Like that was cruel. Like they should have been like, hey, you can't do the jackhammer. Like the spear is good enough. Yeah, our guys can't take both.
Yeah, if they get speared, it needs to be over. And
exactly.
And I talked to you about this. The WCW mat, I think it was different than the WWF mat, because when I watch WCW clips, like that mat has no give. You are just landing on the floor.
Bro, I remember, and it's weird. It's funny when you brought that up, it like opened something up in me. Like, I remember it'd be times where like I could close my eyes, you could play 2 TVs and play a match on this side and a match on the other. And I could tell you which one is a WCW match and which was a WWE just off the sound of the mat. Because you could just hear in the WCW ring, you could hear like the wood moving, like rattling. And so, it definitely was no give. It was, even when they ran across, you could just hear it. And it was just, bro.
It was just like, just 2x4s, just
exactly.
Just like it was just wood, and then they like wrapped a canvas on it.
Exactly.
Because that ring had no give, and so Gold was spearing people on that.
It sounded like they hired somebody's uncle to come through, throw a couple slabs on there, rope that thing up, throw a little cloth on the top of that joint, and be straight. Yeah,
that's what it was. Because it was like you said, you can hear the difference in the mats. Because I was watching a clip. Matter of fact, I was watching Goldberg jackhammer the Big Show, or I guess the Giant at that time, and the sound that it made when he hit, I was like, oh, that's not what I expected to hear.
Right.
And so it got me a little bit. I was like, he's hurt.
It's a different, I don't know why, bro, but it's just built different, and you can hear it, man. It's funny, AEW, if you watch an AEW show, sounds a lot like WCW, as far as like the mat and everything. So it sounds exactly like it.
Super random question. There are some random clips I've seen where it's a ring that either has 6 or 8 sides, but it doesn't have 4. Who uses a ring that's not 4 sides, but that's more?
That was TNA. So TNA did the 6-sided rings. It's funny because that was like what made them, that's what kind of got them momentum. And then Hulk Hogan, when he got there, was like, let's get rid of that 6 rings. We need to go, the 4-sided ring like a classic. They did it, and then people hated it. But people love the 6-sided ring. I always was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the hell is going on?
Look at Hulk Hogan coming in and ruining something.
Yeah, per usual. But my number one, shout out to this guy, this king, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley has one of the best spears I've seen. And it's not necessarily the physical, like it's not the physical level of Goldberg. Goldberg wins if you talk about like how hard it hurts, look like it hurts. But Bobby's just looks smooth, bro. He hits you, like he hits the spear and he almost does like a front flip after it. It's kind of a cool little added touch to it. And I don't like his finishing move is like the full Nelson technically. Well, okay, I'll say his finishing submission is the full Nelson. But then, like, if he hits you, if he's trying to pin you, he'll hit you with the spear, and it always looks really good. I actually, he's been in a lot of like triple threat matches, and triple threat, is nothing like truly predictable. Like, there's not a bunch of like just set up and hit somebody with a move. You kind of got to just hit him with a move, and his look really good as far as like he'll just come out of nowhere, spear the hell out of somebody. But yeah, y'all can look it up. His spear is really good. Like, he'll hit you, and it'll kind of hit a little front flip on the side. It looks pretty good. But yeah, my number one is Bobby Lashley, and those are our top 5 spears. That was a good time. Good time.
A lot of that list ran together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of known ones, right? All right, now Spencer, I'm gonna hit you with a few questions. Okay. And then we'll hop into top 5 off the top rope moves. Okay. Who do you think is better? Eddie Guerrero or Kurt Angle?
In what way? Like overall?
In like overall. So wrestling, on the mic, everything. We're gonna do like pretty much everything is involved.
Just an entire I don't. So there are things I love about them both.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I like Eddie in the ring more.
Okay.
But I think I like Kurt Angle outside of the ring more.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Because Kurt Angle is, he's a good wrestler and his matches were really good, but Eddie was far more entertaining in the ring than Kurt Angle was to me.
He was. Yeah, he was. Definitely
like Eddie, and Eddie could do everything. Like Eddie really was, I don't know if Eddie was small or big or both.
He was like,
because I remember
WCW, he'd be like cruiserweight, and I'd be like, oh, he's bigger than all these other niggas. Like,
that's what because I remember when he had the mullet, like, yeah, they were calling him a cruiserweight, and I was like, I don't know if he qualifies.
He's a light heavyweight, low-key.
Like, yeah, like and then whenever he cut his hair, I was like, oh, he's big as fuck.
Yeah.
Like he got bigger, and
he did.
But the fact that he was the fact that he was able to do the Three Amigos was like, I was like, you can't be small and do that to anyone.
Yeah, 3 straight suplexes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you have to. Yeah, so with that being I'm gonna have to go Kurt Angle.
Okay.
I absolutely love Eddie Guerrero, but whenever I think about in the ring and out of the ring, I feel like Kurt Angle is better out of the ring than I feel like Eddie Guerrero is better in the ring, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense.
And
like peak levels,
yeah. Like and again, I love Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero has one of my favorite storylines that ever happened, and that was with Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Like, I knew it wasn't real, but I still had feelings.
You invested,
yeah, and I was like, "Fuck this guy!" Like, I will say the "I lie, I cheat, I steal" thing, which I can guarantee was Vince's idea.
Yeah,
that was a problem for me even then.
Gotcha.
I didn't like that. The fact that and him being Mexican were tied together. Like,
I didn't like that either.
If it had just been the lying, cheating, stealing thing, and it had been unrelated to him being Mexican, cool. Like, because whatever. But the fact that those two were tied together, and that was a time when Vince was just going wild with race stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, that was no fault of Eddie's.
Right.
But that was a problem for me even then.
Yeah. And I love the gimmick of like a cheater can get away with it, but I also agree they tied it way too much to his race rather than how smart he was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because when Ric Flair did it, it wasn't tied to anything.
Oh, yeah. It was all how smart he was, a ring genius and all these things. Yeah, I agree.
And so that's and again, I don't hold that against Eddie necessarily.
No, not at all. Yeah,
it's just a sidebar of a thing that I didn't like. The lowrider, I was like, okay, this is fine.
It's getting a little close.
Yeah, we're on the edge.
A little on the nose, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, I don't hate it. I don't like it, but okay.
I respect it only because it seemed like he liked that part. I bet you if you ask Eddie now, like if he was with us still, he'd probably be like, "Yeah, the Mexican stuff was a little wild, but the lowrider, paying homage to my, my culture. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
But okay, so Kurt Angle, I'm probably with you there only because I think Kurt Angle unlocked something in Stone Cold to allow Stone Cold to be the funny Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Where
Kurt Angle did work for other people, and Kurt Angle was so funny.
Yes.
And the whole "you suck" thing.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle was surprised. Like, Kurt Angle should not have been that funny.
And that's the thing. Like, we thought it was just, this natural athlete. Okay, you suck. Okay, the American thing. Okay, whatever. But then when they gave him allowed him to do the funny stuff with the milk and all this other, hilarious.
Yeah, he was no business being that funny.
No business. No business being that good on the mic, being that charismatic. No business.
Yeah, the whole Shawn Michaels spoof. Oh
yeah, yeah.
Like, what the
just
fuck are we doing? I'll make your ankle hurt. Like, what are we doing? So yeah,
that's hilarious.
Oh, the milk truck was so funny.
So funny, bro. He actually brought that back for a Raw anniversary, I think it was, and it was an appreciation for him, and he brought it out. But
the tiny cowboy hat.
Oh my god, bro! That's what I'm saying, bro. If you gave me just a full episode of SmackDown during that time with just him and Stone Cold going back and forth, I'd have been like, sign me up. Yeah. But them two were gold. Like Stone Cold and The Rock, gold. But comedy-wise, yeah, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold was amazing. That's like Booker T, Goldust type level of funny. Okay, who's better? I think I know the answer to this, but I want to see. For those that don't know, Spenser thinks that the Undertaker is the GOAT. I want your.
It's so funny. My goats are always not who they're supposed to be. The only goat I have, or the only goats I have that are like, yes, that I have people that agree with me, are probably LeBron and Tiger Woods.
Yeah, those are for sure.
Otherwise, if you ask me what my favorite or what a GOAT is, it's probably not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and that's just how I am.
No, I respect it. You've told me that since day one. You stayed that way, so I appreciate it. But okay, so American Badass Taker, or I said Dead Man Taker, but you know what I mean, more like Ministry.
My favorite Undertaker is actually Dead Man Inc. Undertaker.
And that is a wild take. That is wild.
Because he's the best of both of them.
He was only Dead Man Inc. for like a year, I think. Maybe a year.
That's the thing. I loved Dead Man Inc. Undertaker because he was the best of all the things that made him great. Between the two, I gotta go American Badass.
I agree with you.
I think that's my, because I remember Undertaker before that, but like when I started forming like memories and like deciding who I liked and like having opinions, like that was my Undertaker.
Right.
And so yeah, I liked his persona. I liked his moveset. The motorcycle was cool. The Brothers of Destruction were one of my favorite tag teams.
Absolutely.
Period. That was my Undertaker. That's what I started with. Not necessarily started with, but like, because I remember the Undertaker before that. But because I remember the Ministry and the like Hood.
Yep.
The song that he had,
the cross and all that.
Yeah, like I do remember all of that, but for me, Limp Bizkit.
Oh my gosh. Especially when he Brothers Destruction, when it hit you with the Kane intro and then it hit you with
it was too much.
Fire.
And he's the reason I started wearing bandanas for a minute. He made me want a jean vest.
Right. So I definitely want some denim for no reason all of a sudden.
I never got one, but like he made me want a jean vest. But I definitely wore bandanas before I discovered do-rags. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am I just feel like it was just more natural for him. Like that's
who he was.
Taker being Taker. Yeah, that's just Taker being like even now. If you watch a video of Taker doing an interview, he looks like the American Dad. He got his black stuff on, and he got his tats. He got his bandana like you talked about.
Because I liked from Houston, Texas, as opposed to from Death Valley, California.
Death Valley, yeah, absolutely.
I preferred from Houston, Texas.
Absolutely.
So that was because like I think he was able to be himself. He was able to have fun. That's when he was really innovative and just making shit up, and then it worked. Like I remember the invention of the last ride.
Yeah, bro. Like
I was like
the greatest power bombs ever.
I was like, that's for me. The last ride is number 1. Jackknife's number 2.
Yeah,
but because the last ride, he's already tall, and then he lifts you up.
Yeah, gives you a wedgie on the way down. Yeah,
yeah. Like I was like, what are we doing? This is too much.
Right.
So the goat.
Okay. I was gonna ask this. This is catching you off guard here, but we talked about before. Me and you have talked about how like on 2K when you play NBA 2K, there's that player that like for some reason or another you nice with him. You can't tell. Mine was Kirk Heinrich. I give you buckets with Kirk Heinrich, and
Captain
I would lock your ass up with Kirk Heinrich. It don't matter if I'm going against any Kobe. It don't matter. I'm locking him up.
Yeah. Everybody who played 2K has that person that's like, this person is like a 73. Why are you just hitting buckets? What are we doing? What is happening? Yeah, like everybody has one. Mine was Gerald Wallace.
Gerald Wallace was nasty too.
Yeah.
He blocked the shit out of your shots.
I was giving people problems with Gerald Wallace. And why?
Yeah.
Like, this shouldn't be happening.
Okay, so close to that, who is a wrestler you play with in a wrestling game who was mid, but like for some reason or another, you was nice with him?
I think because I spent so much time making characters, I didn't often use wrestlers that weren't pretty high. Like,
gotcha.
Whenever because I mostly play them with my cousin, and we would both create people and then just go to work with those people we created. Oftentimes we'd have like 3 or 4 people we created just because we could.
Gotcha.
Whenever I went to a different friend's house, we would have matches, and we were using wrestlers that actually existed. And this is like SmackDown versus Raw 0708 time.
Okay.
I mainly used the GOAT and Kurt Angle.
Gotcha.
And so I don't have an answer for that, because by the time I was playing wrestling games and not going out of my way to create somebody, I was just using the pretty top tier people in the game.
Gotcha.
Because I was going against somebody who was also using like Triple H.
Right.
Yeah, or Shawn Michaels or whoever.
That makes sense. Mine was usually, so I'm thinking more like 2010-ish, right?
Okay.
And mine was usually CM Punk, and this is before like CM Punk became like a top guy. This is like when he first got there and he was messing with Jeff Hardy, and he had just won the World Heavyweight title. He was going up against Taker and losing and stuff like that.
Because I was going to say, I thought that CM Punk got propelled pretty early, because I remember CM Punk going up with John Cena, and I was like, he just got here. How is he already at that point? Because I was not a CM Punk fan, but that was like CM Punk was what, 09-ish?
Yeah, 09.
So that's when I was out, and I think that's why I wasn't a CM Punk fan.
Right. Yeah, when he got there, he got elevated because he had the straight edge, I think a straight edge society, I want to say it was, and he had 2 other people with him, and he was going at Jeff Hardy for being an alcoholic and a bunch of other stuff. It was CM Punk, Mr. Kennedy,
Mr.
Yeah, Predator. For some reason, I was nice.
Canada. I loved Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, bro, outstanding. Shelton Benjamin was another guy I was really good with. Trying to go
Shelton
down the
I met Shelton Benjamin in person.
for real.
Yeah, so it was a wrestling event that was happening in Oklahoma City, and
Okay.
I met Shelton because Shelton Benjamin doesn't look that big
Yeah.
in on TV. And then when I
Right.
saw him in person, I was like, this man is huge.
Yeah.
Why did I think that he wasn't? But then I saw Triple H and I was like, that's why.
Yeah. Triple H huge.
Triple H is like Triple H is wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was a teenager, so we're talking 05.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like Triple H was I know it was after he came back from the quad injury.
Right. Right.
But yeah, like if I as a grown man got into the fetal position, that's the size of Triple H's thigh. Like it's stupid.
Yeah. Triple H, especially at that time. Yeah, he had gotten bigger a little bit. Yeah. Triple H is wild.
But yeah, when I saw Shelton Benjamin in person, I was like, this is a huge man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look that big on TV.
I know.
And but also I was smaller. So
True.
like I was a teenager, so I wasn't like a grown man. So he looked even bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized like, oh, that's why you don't look that big, because you're in this ring with huge people. That's why point guards don't look very big on an NBA court, but they're actually bigger than the average man.
Exactly. That's a good point. Okay. So finally, we're gonna finish up with top 5 off the top rope finishers of all time.
Speaking of off the top rope, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So I want you to tell me if this is true, because I have been out of the game, at least in an official capacity, for a minute. Mm-hmm. And I want to see if what I've noticed is a thing or not. So, you know how basketball used to be very much a half court, close to the basket kind of game. Mm-hmm. And it eventually sped up a lot, and the 3-point shot is like huge now, to the point where back in the day, like there were 1 or 2 people on your team that would shoot a couple threes a game, and they were known as like 3-point specialists, dead eye, like in the corner. Now, unless you are top 10 in the league in the paint, you are useless if you can't shoot threes.
Absolutely.
Like that's what the league has kind of turned into. Right. Do you think that wrestling has made the same move as far as high flying? Because back in my day, I remember there were like some very specific people who did a lot of high flying and who did a lot of theatrics and tricks and jumping off of stuff. And most people were, very in the ring, very grapply or punchy. And it seems like now, if you can't do anything from the top rope, why are you here? Unless you are one of the very specific, like Gunther type people that like your job is in the paint and you know that, and you are top tier at that. It seems like wrestling has moved more toward high flying, like the NBA has moved more toward 3-point shooting. Is that true or not?
No, that's a hell of an analogy, a hell of a comparison. That is absolutely true. I think what happened was, at least as far as wrestling is concerned, I think wrestling became more popular. I think back in the day, wrestling was for the brawler, and then that's why the Jeff Hardy stood out so much. That's why some of these guys who were doing stuff off the top rope stood out so much, because most people were the Stone Colds, the Triple H's, the Rocks. They never got up on the top rope. Whereas now we have way more athletes, natural athletes in the business now, to where they naturally can do a backflip off the top. They can do a somersault off the back. They can do, a moonsault. They can do a Ricochet. If you ever look at Ricochet, can do a 630 or 450, can do literally anything. We just have way more natural athletes. So I think that's what brought it. But then also I think wrestling became a little more choreographed as the years came on. So it was a lot more about making the match look pretty rather than, I don't want to say they don't tell a story anymore, but back in the day, it was strictly about telling the story. It was grapple, headlock for 5-10 minutes, get up, take him to the outside, beat him up, throw him back in the ring, headlock again, where now it's like choreographed, jump off the side rope, different stuff like that. So I think just the wrestling fan is more educated. And so now they're like trying to up the ante every match. So they got to use the top rope to do that.
Yeah, I feel like we've moved to a point where precision is awarded.
Yeah, absolutely.
In both the NBA and in wrestling. Because it's more impressive when you do stuff from long range.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely and I agree. Like back in the day, I didn't notice like botches. I didn't notice like mistimed moves and mistimed things. I didn't notice it as much when I was younger. But now, since there's so much high flying, with so much more risk involved in doing a move off the top rope, you got to get the timing right. The person has to be there at the right time, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more noticeable now. So when they do it really on time, perfect, you're like, oh, snap. Like, all right, this is a 5-star match. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely weird because like now that I watch old matches, I'm like, that match was solid. You know what I mean? But it's just like watching the old 90s game. You're like, this is rough. A bunch of freaking, I don't know, like
y'all are using all 24 seconds of the shot clock
exactly,
every time.
Yeah, like you got 4 people who haven't walked out of the paint yet. But okay, all right.
And there's like fast breaks. There were like one a game back then.
Yeah, back then if you threw a oop, it was sub, get your ass out of here.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What I mean? Yeah, like what are you doing? And that's kind of what it is now. Like dude's doing, like, even if I look at like the top guy, like obviously Roman doesn't do off the top rope, but even Gunther is one of his main moves. One of his moves he'll break out every now and again. He'll jump off the top ropes and hit you with just a classic, Samoa drop, or dive or whatever. But most of the top guys now, Seth Rollins, for example, Seth Rollins is like kind of the Shawn Michaels of the day today. But there's a lot of kids who grew up looking at Shawn Michaels being like, oh, snap, this dude can do everything. I'm going to train to do everything. And there's way more guys like that, whereas back in the day, it was just like Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, very few guys who could actually do everything. Eddie Guerrero, Kurt,
And that's the thing. There were a lot of dudes who could do more, but it feels like they weren't allowed to. Because Goldberg, for example, because of how big he was, he had to be like, he was labeled as like a bruiser when he could have done anything he wanted.
Right.
Just through pure athleticism.
Right. And Goldberg,
I remember the first time I saw Goldberg do like a back handspring, I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
Like, your big ass in that paint. Like that's that's what my mind said.
Get your ass off the 3-point line. Get your ass in there.
Yeah. So, but then whenever it was actually the GOAT who kind of opened my eyes, because I'm like, this man is 6'10" and he is walking on the rope.
The ropes, man, bro. Still to this day, I'm like, how the hell did he do that?
Yeah. And so it was actually him who like opened my eyes to, just because you're big doesn't mean that you are limited.
Yes.
Because if you can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I think if Taker would have came up in this era, I think he would have stayed a little smaller, because back then, you had to be bigger and all this crazy.
Yeah, based on the time period, he basically adapted to the situation he was in.
Right. Right. Like if he was today, he would have stayed smaller. He would have been way more agile. He would have showed off all the natural athletic ability that he already has. And so, I think it was just time period. He had to go up against Kane, Big Show, all these other people. So he had to look bigger, obviously, which made sense. But no, that's a good observation. It's definitely more coordinated, choreographed, and that lends more towards a high flying style.
Yeah, because I feel like I see a lot more people jumping and doing a lot, because back in the day, like it was Jeff Hardy, it was Rey Mysterio. Like that's essentially who was doing the stuff. There were the occasional people, but as far as like people who are flying regularly, like it there were not very many people whose like job it was to fly. And
Right.
now it feels like everyone everywhere is doing it. And I feel like it was the same in the NBA with the 3-point shot. Like there were a couple people like, yes, you have the green light to shoot a three. Stand over there and wait for me.
Exactly.
Now, again, if you're not shooting threes, the fuck on the bench. Like, what are you doing?
This dude's getting up 10, averaging 10 attempts a game now. So yeah, it's definitely
there are centers shooting threes.
Exactly. Yeah. And
it's like that once upon a time, like you'd get cut from the team.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you were doing that.
And I think the cool thing about wrestling right now is there's kind of a mixture. So you got the high flying style, but the British style is way more physical, way more old school, like not even really attitude, like more like 70s, 80s style. Like that's why I love Gunter so much, is because his is more like 70s, 80s. Like, no, you're going to stay on this ground and I'm going to beat the hell out of you.
Like he is a wrestler.
Exactly. And that's what his shtick is. So that's why I think people love him so much. Him, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, dudes like that who are big, physical. Big E said it best. Big meaty men slapping meat. That's what we love to see. Like, that's what we love to see. You know what I mean? Like, you can say what you want, but it's like, all right, people pay to see Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. People pray to see Roman Reigns versus Brock. Like, we love the high fly stuff, but we want to see big men. You know what I mean? Slapping meat. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And speaking of Brock, the first time I like truly noticed a botch was Brock's attempt
oh
at.
My god!
That was the first time I remember being like, "Ooh, that
was brutal." He could have died.
That was.
Thankfully, he had a strong neck.
Yeah, because
that was rough. That was rough.
Because when that happened, I was like, they're gonna have to call the match. Like,
yeah,
there's no way they finish this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got a concussion. I'm pretty sure he had to have.
And he was a little bit paralyzed, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Thankfully, it was Brock, so he was all right. But all right, top 5. Do you want to go first here, or you want me?
I can go first. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Number 5.
Number 5. This should come as no surprise. Because Jeff Hardy is in my Mount Rushmore personally.
Okay.
So the Swanton Bomb, of course.
I was surprised. I thought the Swanton would be higher on your list, and I'm very interested in where your list is going, sir.
Okay. And I figured you would, because the Swanton, it's iconic more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I will say, one thing I did notice is the higher Jeff Hardy was, the less Swanton it was.
Yeah.
Like if he was on the top rope, it was fine. If he was any higher than that, it was kind of just a little roll.
Yeah.
Forward. Or if there was a table involved, it was kind of just a little roll.
Yeah.
But
when it's tight.
Yeah. But I love Jeff Hardy, and like when he hit it well and right, it was beautiful to watch.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And Jeff Hardy, he's one of those people that, like, how there are like there's always a list floating around the internet of like random white dudes that black people love.
Yeah, oh bro, he's at the top of the list.
Jeff Hardy is one of those people. Like, I do not have a reason.
Nope.
But generally speaking, black people love Jeff Hardy.
Bro, he could go any hood in America. That man good.
And he's getting a plate.
Certified. Yeah, he's getting a plate.
He's getting a plate.
With foil on that joint, ready.
Yeah, like, I don't know why. I don't think it's because I'm black, but like, I love Jeff Hardy.
Bro, it's natural. You see it on the internet all the time. People talk about wrestling who just like the attitude era, and they talk about Jeff Hardy like that's their favorite. Like, it just makes sense. Dude didn't care. Dude lived by YOLO. Like, he did not care.
Jeff Hardy put his life on the line every time I saw him. I was very seriously concerned. I was like, is he going to die today?
Yes. Bro, I'll never forget. Was it SummerSlam the first TLC? I want to say it was. I think it
sounds right.
Yeah, but when he jumped off that ladder, I was like, "There's no way." In all them damn tables, I was like, "No way."
Yep,
bro. I was just like, "You are crazy."
Yeah, he's a crazy person, and Jeff Hardy is somebody in wrestling games I would use.
Oh yeah,
Like if
Jeff
he was
Hardy-
in the game, yeah, I'm using Jeff Hardy.
Oh, absolutely. Just
Like-
to hit the swanton. I just want to hit it once.
Yeah, and I will say Jeff Hardy. It wasn't until broken Matt Hardy that I could appreciate Matt Hardy existing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like Jeff Hardy,
Existing.
like a lot of times it was Jeff Hardy and his brother for me.
yeah. I got you.
And Matt Hardy tried. He had Lita, and he was the older brother. Like he really tried to separate himself. And it's like you're just Jeff Hardy's brother.
I appreciated Matt when he started going up against MVP for the U.S. title. That whole run when he separated, I think they were on two different brands at that time.
Yeah,
and I appreciate. That's when I started to have a full appreciation for him because he was kind of limited. He was knock-kneed. He was kind of, you know what I mean?
And again,
kind of stiff
compared to Jeff Hardy. Yeah, because I didn't know if he was really stiff or if he just wasn't Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
that
so
makes sense.
Yeah, like whenever I'd see Matt Hardy or when Matt Hardy was tagged in, I'd be like, all right. Where's the fast forward?
Oh God!
Yeah, but
hilarious.
But it wasn't until broken Matt Hardy that I was like, okay,
Yeah, delete. Yeah,
brother Nero,
brother Nero, and he was outstanding on the mic too.
He was, and it's like I would have never known. Like,
Yeah,
I had no idea Matt Hardy had talent until broken Matt Hardy.
That's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, because
That's
again,
hilarious.
like Matt Hardy was doing like leg drops and shit.
Yeah.
It's like
very basic.
When you're on a team with Jeff, you gotta come harder than that.
You gotta up your game, fam.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's funny.
anyway, Swanton
Number
Bomb.
5.
Number 5.
Jeff Swanton. Okay. Number 5 for me, one of my favorites to ever do it. R.I.P. the Macho Man.
The Macho Man.
The Macho Man. Yeah, the classic elbow, bruh. Classic. One of the first dudes to have a finish off the top rope. It just looked good. It looked pretty. You know what I'm saying? And so many people have done it since, but yeah, there's no elbow like Macho Man's.
Because the only two elbows that I saw that I liked were the Macho Man.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels was good too. Yeah,
but everyone else's elbow was lesser.
Yeah, and like Macho Man would hit you with I don't know what it was about his. It was really good, and like it hurt.
Yeah, like he kind of hit you in the throat.
Yeah, like he definitely kept it tight, kept the elbow in tight.
Because some people like they hit you like in the chest, but he was trying to.
Yeah, you get around the neck area. I'm like, damn,
yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, it just looked good. He'd stand up there for a sec, do his little thing.
He'd do his little pose.
Yeah, his little pose, and then hit you with it. Yeah, it was just like, and in his promos, he talked about how he dropped you with the elbow. It just sounded good. Anything Macho Man did was dope.
Yeah, Macho Man was too much. He's like
cream of the crop.
Oh, the cream of the crop. Oh God, all of his promos were so good,
bro. I can't tell you how much time I've wasted at work, at other places, when I see a video of Macho Man, and bro,
the whole thing.
Bro, I watched the whole thing. It'd be so hilarious because it'll be like Mean Gene talking and Macho Man's just walking in front of the screen, just walking all fidgety and shit. I was just like, what are you doing? And he's just like walking. He ain't even looking at Mean Gene. Ain't even looking at the camera. He's just walking around. and then Mean Gene's like,
Gene may or may not ask a question. And like
yeah.
He just, and he was talking crazy to Mean Gene.
He was. He really was.
Because I remember I think Mean Gene may have asked his lady a question, and
the
Macho Man was pretty much like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
like
you're
standing here with the Intercontinental Champion,
yeah,
and you're talking to this. What are you doing, Mean Gene?
Yeah, bro.
Sitting right here with the Intercontinental World Champion. Yeah, like he just asked her a question.
Yeah, bro, Miss Elizabeth. Yeah, bro. Like, it just always cracked me up how like Mean Gene would be doing his little introduction and Macho Man's in the background just walking around, just walking in front of the camera, walking in front of Mean Gene. I'm like, this guy's wild, bro. But his promos was top tier.
They were so good.
Yeah,
the cream of the crop is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Bro, when he was walking around, I was like, what the hell does he have that in, like a cream thing in his hand for?
He was doing magic tricks. He was doing sleight of hand with these creams. They were coming from nowhere. It was so good.
So good, bro. So good.
If you
I would
have not
suggest,
seen the cream of the crop,
yes,
please YouTube it.
please YouTube it, bro. Yeah,
It's
that is a good ass
so
time.
funny.
A good ass time. But yeah, number 5 for me, the Macho Man elbow drop.
Excellent. For me, number 4, I'm sure there are 1,000 people who have used this move, but Kurt Angle's moonsault was perfect
Thing
every
of beauty.
single time. And he didn't do it super often. He did it just often enough for me to want it more.
Yeah.
But Kurt
Yeah.
Angle's moonsaults were flawless.
Bro, it was like he paused in the air. It was like, oh, pause and then down. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, like they were so good. And again, I'm sure there are several people who have used moonsaults throughout the years, but Kurt Angle's for me was easily number 1.
Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
they were pretty, they were perfect every single time. And that's the thing, like that was all him. Like he didn't have to rely, like the other person was irrelevant with Kurt Angle moonsaults.
Absolutely.
Like they had nothing to do with how good that was. And so yeah, absolutely. The Kurt Angle moonsault was just so pretty.
That's a good point. Outstanding. It was beautiful. I will shout out a current women's wrestler named Tiffany Stratton. She's on NXT right now. Her finisher is the moonsault, and it reminds me of Kurt Angle's moonsault. So if y'all look her up, Tiffany Stratton, she's amazing. She's gonna be on main roster pretty soon. Like she's a superstar, but she's like an athlete too. I think she did something in college as far as athletics, but her moonsault is very much like Kurt's. Like it's a full moonsault. It ain't just flat. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just a flip. It's like a full thing. But yeah, Kurt's was beautiful, bro. Again, it just seemed like he paused in the air when he did it. And that's another guy we talked about, like just a natural athletic ability. Like, and he didn't, like you said, he didn't break it out all the time. He did it randomly.
Yeah, he did it just enough. He did it just enough for me to be like, Kurt, add it to the rotation.
Yeah, I need that. I need that right before the was it Olympic Slam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angle Slam, Olympic Slam.
Angle Slam. Yeah. I need that right before that. That thing was beautiful. Okay, number 4. I'm going more recent. My boy Finn Balor with the coup de grace. The coup de grace is basically where you're laying down and Finn get up there and he basically just steps on your chest. He basically just gets in the fetal position in the air and then comes down and steps on your chest.
With an A-Town stomp?
Exactly. Okay. Like both feet. That joint hurt. That joint looked like, because you get up there. Like he don't just he fully gets up there, gets some vertical on it, and it looks pretty good, man. And it's different. Obviously, ain't a ton of people doing that. He's been doing that since he was in New Japan, like a decade ago.
Now, based on that move, he's got to be a smaller guy.
He is. I want to say he's like, let me look up his size real quick. But yeah, he's a smaller guy, but he's like jacked.
I would imagine I would imagine he's very cut.
Oh yeah, probably the most cut guy in the business. He's 5'11", 190. So smaller guy, but like literally no body fat. The dude is cut. Honestly, one of the greatest wrestlers out there, like beloved for like a decade. He actually created the Bullet Club, which is like synonymous, kind of the NWO of its day. But yeah, the coup de grace, amazing move, great name. It
is a great name.
Yeah,
is he French?
No, he's from Ireland. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me make sure of that. He's Irish. He's from Ireland. But yeah, I want to say coup de grace. Don't know where. Yeah, it is. That is French. I thought it was like from New Orleans at first when I first heard it, but yeah.
Well, Creole. Yeah,
exactly. So like, really good move. He's 41 years old, which does not look like it at all. But amazing move. Love the coup de grace. Hits it. Always looks good. Always feels like a big. Because some moves dudes hit, it don't feel like a big moment. It don't feel like it's a big move. It feels like some people hit moves and it's like, okay, I guess. But coup de grace always feels like a big deal. So Finn Balor, the coup de grace, number 4.
Okay. All right. Number 3 for me is a bit of a wild card. We'll see if it is we'll see if this guy's allowed to play. Coast to Coast, Shane O'Mac.
Oh, I'll give you that.
So I always, even before he changed his theme song to the Money theme song, I always thought, Shane, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, no.
Like, yeah. Shane, you're good.
Yeah.
You don't, you've got the money. You've got the inheritance. Like, you don't need to be here.
Right.
But Shane was also just in a jersey, putting his life on the line.
With some Jordans. And ready to go.
Yeah, and some like Adidas sweats.
Yeah. Just definitely had mismatch. He definitely would do that. Yeah.
And so, yeah, like he would. So the Coast to Coast was he would jump from the top rope of one side clear to the other side of the ring with a trash can in front of somebody's face, and the jump was to kick the trash can into someone's face.
Yep.
The move was impressive because clearing that distance is hard work. Like you've got to, like, you have to put everything you have into that. I've
seen wrestlers miss consistent. I've seen a lot of wrestlers try it and they can make it look like it did something, but clearly they didn't get far enough. And Shane, for the most, especially when he was like his peak Shane athleticism, he definitely got there.
Yeah, like he would jump and you have to jump feet forward.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that makes it even harder because since you're jumping from your feet naturally are behind you.
Right.
But so he would jump up in the air, and while he was in the air, turn his body so that his feet were in front of him and his head was behind him.
Right.
And so that made it more impressive.
It did.
The fact that he would make contact 90% of the time.
Absolutely.
And again, he didn't have to be here. Like, Shane, you could go home.
Yeah.
You could be the accountant for the company. Like you could just be behind the scenes. You don't have to be here.
Right.
But he would and the fact that he was making that jump, that means like most of that he'd have to land on his tailbone.
Yeah, that's true. He's taking a bump either way. Like so that's a good point. And it's kind of hard to like, like you're trying to ease up, you're not trying to hurt nobody, but it's hard jumping that far and then like easing up. Like you got to just kick, like you got to just land where you land, because so if you kick that trash can hard, it is what it is.
Because you have to have enough momentum to get there.
Exactly. So you can't stop that momentum.
But then you got to pull it back when you make contact.
Exactly. That's hard to do. So it's like, I'd rather just look good. So smacking that thing off somebody's forehead.
It's just going to have to be what it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it is what it is. But that's a good point. That's a good pick, though. And it's synonymous. It's synonymous with Shane McMahon. Everybody knows Coast to Coast. When you say Coast to Coast in the wrestling world, everybody knows what you're talking about.
And that's a great name.
No, it really is. Coast to Coast, outstanding. One of the first time I had seen it, I seen RVD do it back in the day at ECW, but his was like with a chair and it was a little different. Yeah. But Shane McMahon, like I'm not expecting him to be able to do that.
I think that's a part of what like made it better was the fact that like I don't expect you, because also like you never knew how athletic he was because he was wearing a big ass baseball jersey.
Exactly. Yeah, he just looked like a dumbass walking out there.
Yeah, like it's like you're the boss's son. Like,
get some gear.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah,
and so like I couldn't look at him and be like, "Yep, that's an athlete."
Exactly. Yeah,
and so like I really didn't know because, like I said, I only saw him in baggy clothes or suits.
Yeah, no,
because I remember Vince would come out there in his little tank top.
Yeah, yoked.
Swole
with slacks.
Yeah,
like, what up?
Yeah, like that was so funny. Yeah, like he was in a tank top with slacks and a belt.
Yeah,
and loafers.
Like what it is. Let's go.
Oh god, with a chain around his neck, and not the chain you're thinking of. No, actual
like them workout chains.
Yeah, like a chain that is used for hauling and pulling stuff.
Exactly. That's hilarious, bro. Okay, so my number 3 is the Swanton Bomb by Jeff Hardy. I will say, if someone wants to look it up, I believe this may be a hot take. I believe Kevin Owens, who's a current wrestler right now, I believe he hits the Swanton Bomb better than Jeff Hardy.
I didn't know anyone else was using it.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is the only guy I know that uses it. Everybody else does.
And as far as I know, like the name Kevin Owens is a name I've heard where he's got enough clout to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he literally, the stunner is his finisher, so he got the clout to be able to get the yes from Stone Cold to use the move. So yeah, and that's another example of a big guy who uses the frog splash, does the front flip, does the swanton bomb, does a bunch of athletic stuff that you would not expect him to be able to do. But yeah, his swanton bomb is perfect, precision every time. It don't matter, and it's always off the top rope. He never really does it like any other variation of it, but it's always good.
God damn, Kevin Owens is huge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a big dude, but he hits it perfectly.
Like that's not what I expected him to look like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and Kevin Owens, just a sidebar, Kevin Owens has the greatest move set of any wrestler to me. He just does it. Every move he hits looks dope. Like, every move he does, it doesn't feel like a normal. He doesn't ever do like a normal suplex or normal. He like does a suplex, but then he'll turn you and do a driver, or he'll do something different. You know what I mean? He uses the frog splash. His frog splash looks really good. Swanton bomb looks really good. One of his finishers is the pop-up power bomb. So throw you against the ropes, and I'll throw you in the air and then hit you with a power bomb. Looks really good. So yeah, and then his stunner looks really good too. So Kevin Owens is one of my favorite wrestlers out there, but his Swanton Bomb, top tier. But he got it. He was obviously inspired by Jeff Hardy. So got to give Jeff Hardy his credit. He's a legend.
Is it?
So yeah.
So when Kevin Owens does it, is it called the Swanton Bomb or does it have a different name?
It's funny because I don't think Michael Cole says Swanton Bomb. I don't think. No, or does he? I actually think he does, actually. I think he calls it Swanton Bomb. Yeah. Just to pay homage to Jeff, I think. But he can't say Jeff Hardy because Jeff Hardy's in AEW right now, so he can't, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, he can't just like directly source it, but we all know what it's from. So, but yeah, that's my number 3, Jeff Hardy.
I support it. You know, I love Jeff Hardy and I love the Swanton Bomb.
Absolutely.
But again, for me, he got docked points just because the execution isn't always there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
But when it hits, it hits.
Yeah, I agree.
So number 2 for me, the 5-star frog splash from Rob Van Dam.
Damn. Yes, sir.
I've seen a bunch of people do the frog splash just like in my random like time in wrestling. Because back in my day, there were 2 people doing it. There was Eddie, there was RVD. And now there are people kind of just doing it all over the place, it feels like.
Yes, sir. Yep.
But RVD to this day has the best one I've seen.
Absolutely.
Like, it is like, I mean, if you look at RVD's like bottom half, you can tell he got hops.
Oh yeah.
Like RVD may have been my favorite wrestler just to watch because he was doing shit. I was like, that's not what you're supposed to do in this line of work.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, he was excellent. And yeah, like he had hops. Like most people climbed the top rope. He just hopped up there. He was he was the only person I saw just take one jump. He's up at the top now.
Bro, from the front. It wasn't even like, I'm going to get out of the ring, from the front, I'm going to jump up here, turn around, and then hit the frog splash. It was beautiful.
And it was seamless. Like, it was like hop, turn, up in the air.
Yes.
Like, it was, and he got so high. I think from the top rope, he is the person I've seen get the highest. Yeah. There may be somebody today who might be able to get higher.
Montez Ford is up there. I don't think it's as good, but Montez Ford is up there. But I don't think it's as good.
Yeah, RVD, he had time to spread all the way out, Like
Yes.
open his body, go back into the fetal position, and then open again.
Yes.
And when he hit it, both men were hurt
Yes.
every time.
Bro, and he sold it so well. That was key. That was
Yeah.
key.
Like
To where it looked like it actually hurt.
Yeah, like it was so good, and
Yeah.
it was impressive, and it was the best frog splash that I had seen, because again, I remember Eddie doing it, and it was great when Eddie did it, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Eddie, you got outdone.
Yeah. Eddie's was a little more robotic. A little more,
Eddie's was it was more robotic, more like tight.
Yeah, a little more stiff.
Yeah, RVD's was fluid,
yes.
and it was just so good. And again, it was the most impressive frog splash I had seen, because
Absolutely.
there was like, I would challenge anyone to try to do a 5-star frog splash.
Yeah, that is, bro. I did it on a trampoline. It's just not easy.
No, it is not.
Easy.
Like,
Yeah,
usually you have to get high enough to do it.
Yeah.
And if your trampoline don't go deep enough for you to get the bounce you need, like, you're doing an Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, you might need a homie to like bounce you to get you a little higher. Yeah.
Yeah, you may have to get double bounce to effectively actually get it done, or you have to jump off of something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, like it was so good.
Which we don't advise you to do, folks.
Yeah. Do not recommend.
Yeah, do not just go outside and jump off some shit. But
now, if you're one of those people who's like, wrestling is fake, then go ahead and see how that goes.
Go try that and report back.
Yeah, let us know how that went for you.
Jordan.
I won't go name names, but
Yeah, Jordan, go ahead and try a frog splash and report back on our next episode. Let the folks know how that went for you.
Yeah.
But no, great pick. I may or may not have that. It's still on my list, so I will talk about that in detail later if it's on my list.
If it's on the list, of course.
Yeah, of course. Number 2 for me is Ricochet, who's probably one of the greatest acrobats of this day.
I am aware of Ricochet.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people are, even if you're not a super wrestling fan, like even more of a casual, you've heard of Ricochet because he has so many highlights on the internet. But Ricochet's 630 splash is beautiful, bro. Like, he basically does a front flip.
See, and I thought that 450 was as far as you could go.
Yes.
I thought 450 was the top, the highest. You can't do more than that.
Right.
Ricochet was like, I got something for you. Ricochet should probably be an Olympic diver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Bro, he should be doing something else with this athleticism, to be honest. But he decided to use pro wrestling, which we appreciate. But yeah, he just basically hits another...
he turns another full time.
Another full time, absolutely.
And that's the thing, like, that shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't. 630, we didn't think 630 was a thing until Ricochet did it.
Yeah, because you have 450, and it's degrees for anybody who doesn't know. So it's how many degrees you are turning.
Exactly.
So he's turning 180 more degrees than the 450.
Yeah.
And for the record, a 360 is one circle.
Yeah.
So that means that a 450 is a circle and change.
Yes.
630?
Yeah.
Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, it really makes no sense, to be honest. Like, when you watch him do it live, you're like, what? How the hell? It's just it's beautiful because it's tight. And so it's just like a ball. It has to be
tight.
Yeah, it's just like a ball. And then it hits somebody, it hits him smooth. Like, it's really good. Like, it's not like he's doing it in lands, random places. Like, it's the same spot every time.
And again, I thought that 450 was as far as you could go. Because, again, a 450, if you're standing straight up, and you spin in a circle, that's 360. That 90 degrees is you being flat.
Right. Exactly.
So, again, a 630 means that you landed on your back.
Your back. Exactly.
Yeah. So, that's 180 more degrees. That is 90 degrees from 2 full rotations in the air.
Yep.
That's stupid.
Stupid. Folks, I would really suggest you to just YouTube Ricochet 630 and you'll see it. It's beautiful. Truly beautiful. And again, the first guy I'd ever seen hit that. And it was just like, what?
Again,
How do
I
you
didn't
stay
I
in
didn't know it was
there?
possible. I did
Insane.
not like it wasn't on the table. Like
Right.
450 was like, all right, we have found the end marker for this.
Yes.
Unless you get on a ladder. There's no way to
Right.
do it if you're just on the top rope. But
Right.
Ricochet was like, no, I got something for you.
Right. Yeah. It's really wild that it's possible. But yeah, Ricochet 630. That's my number two.
And that another thing that makes it impressive is you have to do that and jump forward. Like because if you jump straight up,
Oh yeah.
he'd fuck himself up. So he has to jump
Exactly.
forward and do the turning.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and then land in a particular spot to where you're not like literally just killing the person under you. Yeah.
Or yourself, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, facts.
So speaking of Ricochet, my number one goes it's way back for me.
Okay.
It's got a special place in my heart. Billy Kidman shooting star press.
Oh, look at you pulling out a gem.
So Billy Kidman was the first person I ever saw do this, and I'm sure there are a bunch of people doing it now, just based on
Yeah.
how wrestling has evolved. I've seen Ricochet do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Billy Kidman shooting star press, it was beautiful because he was never like when he would jump, he would lean to the side a little bit,
Yeah.
and it made it prettier.
Yeah, it did.
Like I don't know, like that may not make sense, but like
No, it definitely makes sense.
like his execution of it was like just really nice to look at.
Right.
And because Billy Kidman, I'm pretty sure was a smaller dude. He had to be.
Yeah, he was a bigger cruiserweight, but he was small compared to normal folks.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he was in the cruiserweight division, but he was. Yeah, he was bigger than Rey Mysterio, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He was probably smaller than Eddie Guerrero.
Absolutely. Yep. That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, that shooting star press, it was beautiful. And that's the thing. I was like, how are you doing a front flip and a back flip at the same time?
I know.
What the fuck is this? It's one trick I could never do. Like, you know how everybody like got a trampoline and you start just doing shit. And yeah, like when I go to the trampoline park, they'd have the foam pit or like a little airbag, and I would try to do it there, and I could not do it.
Nope.
I had a friend with a pool, and off the diving board, no, it was not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I would never even try.
Because I was like, I will break my neck. I will snap my shit, and I cannot. And we're talking again, even in a diving board in water. I was like, no, I will kill myself. I cannot. I can't do it. And then seeing Brock Lesnar fail, all right, never trying it.
Never trying it.
I'm locked in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Billy Kidman, WCW days. I love Billy Kidman, and that's a great detail. He kind of turned to the side. It kind of was like almost watching like a skater hit a move and like kind of turn to the side a little bit. It was just beautiful to hit, and yeah, it was just different. Like you weren't seeing many people hit that move at the time, and it was just anytime he got to the top rope, everybody was like people like stood up because you knew what was coming.
And that's the thing, like it was even more impressive because that seems like something you would need a lot of momentum to do, and to just be standing straight up and do it. Again, you're jumping forward and doing a backflip.
Backflip, exactly.
And there are probably people who are like, that's nothing. I can do that on a chair. Whatever. Billy Kidman's execution of it was just so good. And the fact that he was leaning to the side in the air and still managed to land it correctly on people.
Right.
Because if you go straight up, you're good. But the fact that he was almost at a 45 in midair.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
So good, man. Billy Kidman, shout out to that. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to watch Billy Kidman highlights now. I forgot about Billy Kidman.
Yeah, because that's been my favorite since I saw it. I was like, oh yeah,
it's crazy. Like he's underrated as far as cruiserweights of all time. Like he was defeating like Juventud Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, like Eddie, like a bunch of top Chris Jericho, a lot of top tier Hall of Fame level cruiserweights. He was beating them and like holding on to the cruiserweight title. So yeah, dude was top tier, man. Top tier. My number one, and you mentioned him already, Rob Van Dam. Honestly, I ain't gonna spoil for entrances, but when I do top 5 entrances, I can guarantee you RVD is gonna be on there.
One of a kind? Oh yeah.
Like, come on, bro. like, bro.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, bro. And I did a look in your face. Yeah, bro. Come on, man. Like Rob Van Dam, bro.
So good. And Rob Van Dam, his onesies were fire.
Bro, every fucking time, bro.
Every time.
I remember when he wore a red, I think it was red and purple, and it had like a raptor on it. I was like, what the fuck? And then he had the one with the yin yang sign on it. And
all the yin yangs.
Yeah.
All of them were fire.
All of them were fire. I was like, how you got this much swag, bro?
Yeah, I was like, well, who's your guy?
Who's your person? Like,
and he was the first person that I think, because you know how everybody does, like, they'll have like long hair at the top and then shaved on the sides.
Yeah,
like that's a thing now. He was the
yeah.
first person I ever saw do that.
Same. My boy had a tight taper cut. Who was his barber?
Yeah, like
he had Jerome in the back.
Yeah, whoever his team was. He had the best team because he was too much. And I mean, of course, Paul Heyman.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, RVD, bro. He's too much. I love Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam is my favorite little guy ever, probably.
And he's not even little. Like Rob Van Dam, he was almost built like Rhino. Like he was stout as fuck.
He was.
And that's why,
like you said, triceps.
He was bottom heavy.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. He still was strong up top, but like I remember thinking, like I don't know, like it was weird.
Yeah,
that he was so bottom heavy, just because that was not normal in wrestling. Like most of them were top heavy. Like that's what you were in wrestling. Like you were mostly like shoulders and like neck and arms. But RVD, he was like bottom heavy, and that was weird because that wasn't normal. But I was like, I can see it, like, and how well he utilizes that.
RVD, bro. To me, he has probably one of the greatest movesets ever.
Oh like, when I would build like my second character in the game, Rob Van Dam was the like base. Like they were based on RVD 100%.
Bro, he used to throw people the chair and then kick them.
Yes,
like spin kick, beautiful.
And he had another move where like he would, or maybe that was Shelton Benjamin. He had a move where like he would try to kick you, he'd miss because they duck, and then he'd come back immediately.
Oh yeah,
on that same foot.
Yeah, bro, and then he'd jump off the side rope, kick you, like so many. And then like on the outside, he did all kind of crazy shit. Like he'd put you on the barricade, get a little chair, kick you again, bro. But yeah, the greatest off the top rope move to me is the frog splash. RVD's frog splash. It was the execution in the air, and then mainly so many, like you said, so many people do the frog splash, but they don't do it with like a ballerina-esque fluidity that's like, you're like, how the hell is this? Rob Van Dam was the first person I was like, oh, that's an athlete. That's like an athlete. Like that ain't just a wrestling athlete. That's a dude who can probably do anything. He can dunk. He can do all kind of stuff.
He probably runs track.
Yeah, like he's probably nice in high school at all sports. Like, and just the way he hit the frog splash, bro. Like you said, he jumped from the front to the top rope. Then he hit it super high, and then the way he would hit it, he'd have so much momentum. He'd hit it and damn near do a front flip again after hitting it.
Yeah, like he would hit the mat and then bounce.
Yes,
onto his back from his stomach.
And then he'd like be like holding his ribs, like it just looked like, oh damn, this dude jumped from the moon basically and landed, and it hurt so hard. And then he hit the cover, bro. It was just beautiful, bro. I'm glad my man finally he didn't get treated the way he should have been in WWE, because Vince didn't like him.
I thought that because he had Paul Heyman, he was on his way to the top.
I did too.
Paul Heyman often has the top guy.
No,
and so I was like, okay, good. He's on the escalator to the top. And I thought, oh, he's an ECW guy. That's why he never made it. Because Vince didn't pick him.
Yeah, Vince didn't like that he's the ECW guy, and he didn't like he smoked weed. And those were the two things that brought him down. Because I remember at One Night Stand, they did a ECW basically pay-per-view again, and John Cena was a champ, and Rob Van Dam was an ECW champ, and Rob Van Dam beat John Cena to become double champ. And outstanding moment, you can look it up on YouTube. Outstanding moment. It was kind of like old school ECW again. And from that point on, he should have had the title for a while. People were like clamoring for him to win the title and hold the title for a while. But Vince, being old school Vince, definitely held that against him. But yeah, Rob Van Dam, one of the greatest talents to ever wrestle, honestly.
Yeah, I love RVD. He is in, like, for a lot of categories, he will probably be in my top 5. If he did it, he's probably in my top 5 for most categories.
Same, like using a chair in a creative way, top 5. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like dude was
he's number 2 for chairs.
Yeah,
like for me, the concerto is number 1.
Concerto was fire.
Yeah, he's number 2. Like, here you go, bow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, Rob was just everything about it. The presentation was on point, bro. Like
everything about it.
Bro, I used to literally sit for hours on I think it was 2K, whatever wrestling game was at the time, and RVD wouldn't be on the game, but you could download him. So I would download him, and then I would try to create my own like wrestling gear for him to make sure it was, you know, appropriate for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude was just fire, bro.
Swag. It was so good. Like, again,
so good.
And that's the thing. Like, his regular onesies were good because his his Raw and SmackDown onesies, like, they were just kind of black with some yellow on them. And those were good. But his pay-per-view onesies,
he came ready.
Fire.
Yeah, he pulled out the suitcase.
So good.
Yeah, bro.
Because I remember that red one.
I remember the red one. I remember he had a yellow. He had a purple. I want to say he had a green white one. Yeah, he had a green one. I want to say he had a white one. Bro just switched it up. He upped the game every time. He reminds me of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ups the game every time he comes out. And, bro, it was just shout out to RVD, man. Classic. Hall of Famer. I think he won the Hall of Fame either this year or he's eligible next year. One of the two. I can't remember, but he needs to be in ASAP.
He need to be in there because, God, I think for like entertaining wrestlers in the ring, like who do I want to watch at a match? He might be number 1.
Yeah, like Rob Van Dam is up there, bro. I haven't met one person who's like, I don't really mess with Rob Van Dam like that. Like
the only people who don't know him.
Exactly, that's true. That's true. Because like it's hard. It's rare you see a wrestler who, when his music hits, he's entertaining till the bell rings at the end of the match. Like, and not many wrestlers like that.
Without needing a mouthpiece, without having all the, because he could get on the mic. He wasn't spectacular. That's one area where he would not.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I mean, he had Paul Heyman for a reason,
right?
But he didn't need it.
He didn't need, bro. His name alone was one of the greatest wrestling names of all time.
The whole like thumbs thing,
yeah,
like he did enough.
He did enough. That's all he had to say.
Yeah,
Rob Van Dam. That's all we needed.
Yeah. So good. I love RVD.
Love RVD. This is a RVD appreciation podcast, low key. Yeah. But all right, cool. That was a good time. Spenser, I appreciate you hopping on with me and discussing all things wrestling.
Again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. If at any point you need a guest, I am available.
Absolutely. You're an OG.
You know, I love a top 5, you know.
You already know. Me and you know we love a top 5. And we'll definitely have Spenser back again. And be on the lookout for other guests throughout. You know, once I let people know how to wrestling podcast, they were like, oh yeah, I'd love to be on, you know, different people I know who I've experienced wrestling with in the past. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And it was a good time. I appreciate you for listening, and please come back next time.